It's like being underdog when you could be top dog, or being a ticket and coach and not a first class ticket. These are songs that peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 charts as published by Billboard magazine. This is coming up next on Chart Chat. Hello, and thank you for checking out Chart Chat, a look at pop music history as told by the pop music charts of Billboard magazine. I'm your host, Davey M. This video is part 2 of 2 looking at songs that hit number 2 in the 1990s. This time we are looking at songs from the years 1995 to 1999. We'll also have facts behind some of the hits here. You may be surprised to find some of your favorites, so let's get started. Candy Rain by Soul For Real spent 4 weeks at number 2 in April of 1995, right behind Madonna's Take a Bow. TLC has had 2 number 2 hits during their long career. The first one was Baby 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 in 1992, and this is their second, Red Light Special, right behind Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It. That song would also keep Adina Howard at number 2 with Freak Like Me in June of 1995. Boyz II Men are used to keeping songs at number 2 behind their own hits, but this time Water Runs Dry ran out of water at number 2, behind Bryan Adams' Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman. Nicki French also missed out on taking her cover of Bonnie Tyler's number 1 hit Total Eclipse of the Heart to number 1 in June of 1995, also because of Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman. That song by Bryan Adams, as well as TLC's Waterfalls, would keep Monica at number 2 with Don't Take It Personal. I sincerely hope she didn't take it personal. Waterfalls also kept the Notorious B.I.G. at number 2 with One More Chance. Missing by Everything But the Girl is one of 3 songs that peaked at number 2 in 1996 because One Sweet Day by Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men had a lock on number 1 for 16 weeks. Mary J. Blige was also stopped by One Sweet Day, as Not Gon' Cry peaked at number 2. Brandy's Sittin' Up in My Room was also sitting up at number 2 because of One Sweet Day. Tony Rich Project had a number 2 hit with Nobody Knows in March of 1996, kept out of the top by Celine Dion's Because You Loved Me. Keith Sweat is probably not a fan of the fact that the Macarena kept his song Twisted at number 2. The Los Del Rio smash, Macarena, spent 14 weeks at number 1 in the summer of 1996. It also kept Donna Lewis's I Love You Always Forever at number 2 for 9 weeks. Macarena also kept Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now at number 2. Blackstreet's No Diggity also kept Celine at number 2. R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly is stopped at number 2 by Toni Braxton's Unbreak My Heart in December of 1996. Toni Braxton would also keep En Vogue's Don't Let Go Love at number 2 as well. Was Jewel meant to have a number 1 hit? Unfortunately, no, it wasn't meant to be, as You Were Meant for Me peaked at number 2 in April of 1997, behind number 1 hits by Puff Daddy and Notorious B.I.G. In June of 1997, Mark Morrison enjoyed a number 2 hit with Return of the Mac. Only Hanson's Mbop was more popular at the time. Meredith Brooks would also have a number 2 hit in July of 1997 with Bitch, right behind Puff Daddy and Faith Evans' I'll Be Missing You. Backstreet Boys would start off their career with Quit Playing Games With My Heart, which hit number 2 in September of 1997, behind number 1 hits by Notorious B.I.G. and Mariah Carey. Usher's You Make Me Wanna spent 7 weeks in the runner-up spot and might have hit number 1 if not for Elton John and Candle in the Wind 1997, which spent 14 weeks at the top. Another song stopped by Elton John is LeAnn Rimes' How Do I Live, which spent 4 weeks at number 2. Savage Garden's Truly Madly Deeply also had something to do with her being stuck at number 2. Candle in the Wind would also stop Puff Daddy and the Family's It's All About the Benjamins at number 2 in January of 1998. Madonna's Frozen was frozen at number 2 in April of 1998, behind Casey and JoJo's All My Life. Casey and JoJo will also stop Montel Jordan from having a second number 1 with Let's Ride, as All My Life proved too popular. And as hugely successful as Shania Twain's Come On Over album was, selling more than 40 million copies worldwide after its release in 1997, it never hit number 1, debuting and peaking at number 2. That would also be the case for one of the singles from Come On Over, as You're Still the One held the number 2 spot for 9 non-consecutive weeks. You're Still the One was kept out of number 1 by next Too Close, and Brandy and Monica's The Boy Is Mine. If Usher had his way, his song My Way would have hit number 1. Unfortunately, The Boy Is Mine had a lock on number 1 for 13 weeks in August of 1998. Brandy would also stop another artist from reaching number 1, this time with her song Have You Ever? The artist and song she kept at number 2, Deborah Cox with Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, which spent 8 weeks in the runner-up spot. During her lifetime, Whitney Houston earned 11 number 1 songs on the Hot 100. Only one of her songs peaked at number 2, and that's Heartbreak Hotel, which also featured Faith Evans and Kelly Price in 1999. Keeping Whitney and company from number 1 was Cher's huge comeback hit, Believe, which spent 4 weeks at the top. In May of 1999, Sixpence None the Richer would reach number 2 with Kiss Me. No Scrubs by TLC was number 1 at the time. Pearl Jam's biggest hit on the Hot 100 is Last Kiss, which peaked at number 2 in the US and Canada. It also hit number 2 on Billboard's mainstream rock tracks chart. Casey and JoJo missed out on having another number 1 song in August of 1999, as Tell Me It's Real peaked at number 2 behind Christina Aguilera's debut song, Genie in a Bottle. Ricky Martin also missed out on having a number 1 song following Living La Vida Loca, as She's All I Ever Had peaked at number 2 behind another number 1 song by TLC, Unpretty. NSYNC and Gloria Estefan scored a number 2 hit with Music of My Heart in October of 1999, right behind Heartbreaker by Mariah Carey and Jay-Z. Sean Combs would earn another number 2 song as Puff Daddy, as his song with R. Kelly, Satisfy You, was kept out by Santana and Rob Thomas's Smooth. The last song to peak at number 2 in the 1990s is Brian McKnight's Back at 1, which spent 8 weeks in the runner-up spot, also behind Smooth. And that'll do it for part 2 of 2 videos looking at the songs that peaked at number 2 during the 1990s. Be on the lookout for other videos looking at number 2 songs, including a look at songs that peaked at number 2 during the 2000s. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you'll know when we post new videos. Were you surprised to learn that some of your favorites only hit number 2 on the charts? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.